Hey everyone, welcome to the Beatles News Roundup here on Vinyl Rewind. This is for July 2024. I got a bunch of stories to talk about, and I would say the bulk of them revolve around film. And this first one is the newly announced Sam Mendes-led project. This is the 4-part Beatles biopic, with each film focusing on a different Beatle. And we haven't got a lot of concrete news about this project. We've gotten a lot of rumors, but nothing really concrete. That is until recently, Sam Mendes was addressing the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, and he told the crowd that he plans on releasing all 4 films at the same time in 2027. And this is interesting because, I didn't really envision necessarily a staggered release, although we did get one with the Get Back documentary series. But, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, because that way it doesn't show any favoritism from the production side. Although it does make me question how these films are going to be released. Like, my hope is that they will be released theatrically. Although, that is a lot of commitment from theater owners to take on 4 films that I would imagine are going to be at least 2 hours, maybe longer. I just wonder how that logistically is all going to work out. Obviously, if it goes straight to streaming, probably on Disney Plus, that makes sense because, they're all right there. I'm not sure which one I would start with, that will make reviews very interesting, because I wonder if, depending on which one you start with, might shade your perspective of the rest of the films, either good or bad. I don't really know. Has there ever been something like this before? Like, I'm scratching my head on this. Like, it feels very like first time in history kind of a thing, but then again, it is the Beatles, so... All right, moving on, we got our first look at the upcoming film Midas Man. This is the biopic on Brian Epstein. This premiered earlier this year in May at the Toronto Jewish Film Festival. I haven't heard anyone really talk about that film. No reviews yet that I've found, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this. It looks very good. However, I'm a little hesitant with the casting of Jay Leno as Ed Sullivan. I mean, I get the idea. They're both iconic TV hosts, and, Jay Leno's a name, but he just, stands out so much, and I don't really think of him as an actor, and no amount of makeup can hide Jay Leno. I'm sorry. But that being said, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm most excited about Brian getting his story told. I feel like he... was very much involved with the Beatles' success. Like, I think you could argue that without him, the Beatles might not have become the band that they did. That's besides the point. I think rightfully so, this really focuses on Brian, his life, his struggles, his successes. But yeah, check out the trailer. Let me know what you think with a comment below. And in more movie news, the 2024 Venice Film Festival will feature 2 Beatles-themed films. The first one took almost 10 years to make. It is titled Twist, and it focuses on one weekend, August 13th through the 15th, 1965 in New York City. This is when the Beatles came to New York and played Shea Stadium. Now, what's interesting about this film is that it's composed entirely of archival footage. This is like, TV, film, newsreel, home video, the actual concert film that was shot then. It compiles all of that, and it's told through the lens of 2 real people that attended the show. One is a son of a local New York City radio DJ, and the other is a relatively, I guess, well-known Beatles fan. They both really attended the Shea Stadium concert, but these characters are drawn in an animation style, and they're voiced by actors, young people. So they're not the original people are voicing themselves. These are actors playing them. And so it sounds like a really interesting concept. I can't really find a trailer on it. I can't find any stills about it. So I'm curious to see how the reception will be, especially since it took over 10 years to make this film. The other film is a documentary called 1-to-1 John and Yoko, and it centers around these charity concerts that they put on in Madison Square Garden in 1972. And the concert footage was filmed, it's been restored and remastered, and it also features some unseen footage and unheard audio from the John Lennon archives. It has the full cooperation of his family. So this is, and also it's directed by Academy Award winner Kevin MacDonald, and based on his previous work, I'm really excited to see this. I think it's going to be very well done, and it will really show a window into John and Yoko settling into New York City, into America at this time, and it will touch on the larger social issues of the era. And speaking of John Lennon, his former girlfriend May Pang is on tour showcasing candid photographs she took during their 18-month relationship. Now, if you don't know much about her, there is a documentary you can check out. It came out in 2022. It's called The Lost Weekend, A Love Story. But, you know, it's whatever you want to think about it, it's kind of an interesting story. Basically, Yoko said, John, go have fun for a bit. And so they had this relationship together. And these photographs represent that time. And as far as I know, a lot of these haven't really been seen out in the public before. So I think it's really cool that she's doing this. She's also signing autographs as well as answering any questions fans may have. No word yet on where she'll be next. Most recently, she was in Virginia. I did find one photograph that shows the bulk of the collection, and they look really interesting. So I look forward to seeing these at some point in any manner, hopefully in person, but at the very least, hopefully she'll have these available digitally. In other Beatles news, this release right here just passed 450 non-consecutive weeks in the UK charts. This is the top 100 albums chart. It doesn't matter, this is a compilation, this is just based on album sales, and I think that's insane. But what's even crazier is that their next most successful album on that chart is Sgt. Pepper's, and it's sitting at like 277 non-consecutive weeks. So this is like nearly double that. But, you know, honestly, it just shows you the power of the Beatles. And, you know, by the way, this is a great collection. So if you see it for a good price, definitely pick it up. And we have another birthday Beatle. On the 7th of July, Ringo turned 84, and the official Beatles YouTube page uploaded a video showcasing tribute art made by a number of fans. Definitely check that out. There is some really good work up there. And this month in Beatles history, the group started recording what would become their second album with the Beatles in 1963. And this record is notable for two reasons. The first being, this is the first time we get a George Harrison song on a Beatles album, but it's also the second album to sell 1 million copies in the UK. The first being 1958's The Sound of Music soundtrack. I think that's incredible that With the Beatles outsold Please Please Me, even though it was released earlier in the year. But, you know, you learn something new every day. All right, everybody, that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, but I especially want to thank all my members over on Patreon. If you want to see more Beatles content, I put a couple of videos right there. Until then, I am your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side.